Okay, today we're looking at Advanced Ruler Pro for Android. I've got it installed here on my Droid, and you know the very basics of it. It's just it's a ruler, and it's handy, I guess, if you need to do some measuring on the go. It's pretty accurate. I've got my trusty measuring tape here to prove that. You can see on the right side. Hopefully, it shows up in the video. It's pretty good. And then you've got this little guy here you can move around that adjusts the actual measurement here at the bottom. So you know, if you wanted to stick something between there, you just measure this to the edge and it'll tell you down to the, what is that? Boy, my math is eluding me, but I guess that's hundredths. So it'll tell you down to the hundredths there, and I think you can actually adjust that if you go to your settings. We'll go to our settings. It's saying pixels per inch, gives us our border, origins of the ruler. Boy, it gives us a lot of detail here, probably more than we're necessarily going to need. You've got a diameter tool. You can lock the ruler if you want to, but scales. So here we go. We can go down to up to 1/32 of an inch with our guidelines at the 1/8 inch, and then you can change it over to centimeters if you want. You can have your scales up to 1 millimeter and guidelines and all of that stuff. You can turn the sound off, which you know, you already heard the somewhat odd cash register sound when we are changing the orientation of our ruler. So that's the basics of it, and you know what, if that's all you got, then hey, great. But really where this becomes handy is the distance ruler, and some of these other ones here that you can see involve the camera. So when I click on distance ruler there, it's going to start the camera, and it, you know, if you could, well, you can kind of see, you know, the camera is on. The key here is that we need to set the camera height at the correct height of eye. So if you go down here, I think, yeah, it gives you helpful tips for using the distance ruler, and a neat little diagram here. So holding the camera at eye level, you point it at the base of the thing you're trying to measure, and it gives you the distance. And you know, it is pretty accurate. It's I'll show you in a second here how that works. So I'm going to go back, and we'll set the camera height. So we'll click on that, and my height of eye is about 70 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 70, press done, and OK. So there we go. Now I'll go ahead and give the demo, and we'll verify it with the measuring tape to see how accurate it is. Okay, as you can see here, I've got my measuring tape set up, and you should be able to kind of see how that's looking. I'm going to stand here so that my foot is about 60 inches from the wall, and that means my eyes are going to be back, you know, closer to the 63, 64, and you know what, with the camera in between, should end up reading around, I would guess, 65 or 67. So I've got this up at eye level. I'm going to point it down at the base of the wall there, and you can see what it reads, 65 inches. So again, pretty accurate. Okay, now we're going to look at the height measurement tool. So essentially with this one, you don't need to measure your distance from anything or from the thing that you're trying to get the height of. You essentially just bring it again to eye level, which I'm going to do the juggling act here. This is a standard 8-foot wall that I'm trying to measure. So get my crosshairs at the base of the wall, right about there. Bring it up to eye level, and then the top of the wall. Sorry for the videotaping here; it's a little difficult. And you will see, there you go, 98 inches. I just went over there and measured it because standard height in a 1965 house isn't necessarily standard, and it came out to about 97 inches. So again, very accurate. Okay, so the last one here is, if you don't know the distance or the height of something, making the other two difficult to use, you can use this one. It's called the length ruler, and it's pretty complicated. I'm not gonna go too far into this one, but it essentially allows you to use whatever information you do know to find out something different. So if you know the distance to something, you can find out the size of the object. If you know the size of the object, you can find out the distance. If you don't know either, you can use something, a reference object that you do know the size of, to help. So in the settings, you can set your stride length. You could do number of hand spans, a lot of different things there. I found that it's awesome. I'm sure it works really well, but it's kind of cumbersome, especially on the Droid when you have the smaller screen. It's hard to use the measuring tape. Essentially, you can kind of move it around here. I'm going to see if I can even do that. Yeah, apparently I can't even do that. So it was working to some extent. It's just a little more challenging. Okay, there we go. So you can get your reference object, and then here in the left-hand corner, you click on that, and essentially it'll give you a different reference point. So it's pretty complicated. So if you get it and you want to try it out, feel free, let us know in the comments. That'd be great. Okay, so again, this is Advanced Ruler Pro. Very handy tool. The main one here, the ruler here, is nice to have, I guess. I've used it on a couple occasions, but more just out of curiosity. I'd say the one that really sells this program is the distance ruler and the height ruler. I've used the distance ruler in a real-world application for a construction project, measuring distances, and it was very, very helpful. So it's a good program. I'd recommend it. Go buy it. This is Brian for AndBOT signing off. Thanks.